Guys, so I know you guys didn't expect a video tonight. I actually never expected to do a video tonight. I may even do a live tonight because of this info, because I know it's a lot of information and extremely confusing. All I gotta say is holy shit, Batman. If this research does not prove 110% of a setup, then I am the biggest fucking moron ever. And guilters, you don't have to answer that. But follow through with this. I mean, there's a lot on here, and I cannot take credit for any of it other than putting together this beautiful PowerPoint so you guys can understand it easily. Because going through Reddit is very confusing. I have no idea who Seeking Truth for Good is. They could be totally hate me, or they could not even know who I am. But I am using all of their research because it is the best research I think I've ever read. And it came to me by Jason Max. Big shout out to member of Uncensored and part of the QT family, but absolutely blown away with this information. He handed it to me at work. I was like, no way. But yeah, I know you guys laugh at me when I do clickbait titles, but I'm telling you, this is 110% proof of a setup. So, possible evidence between item CX and B2, a 1995 Green Grand Cherokee Laredo, blood swabs, 50-gallon drums in a red shed, and other items. That's what this whole PowerPoint presentation is about. I try to make it as colorful as possible, as easy as possible, so you guys will really understand. If you don't know what these items are, it's okay. The author explains all of it. So again, when I says like my research or I did this, I did not. What I did do is you're going to see a side-by-side of the RAV4. That was my work, and I'll explain that after. But 99% of this, I did not do, other than the opening, the closing, the beautiful PowerPoint, and the RAV4 stuff. So in connection with items CX and B2, both which are DNA evidence analyzed by Sherry Culhane, I took a time to research to look at two evidence events. As I was researching, I found certain evidence ledgers and tags which seemed to suggest between the two. Plus, I believe I found a broader connection to other evidence events. This post is intended to provide information about my findings, my related assumptions, questions about red flags, which I noticed with the respective evidence tags and ledgers. Now, for anyone who's not familiar with why item CX is important as compared to item B2, item CX is a blood swab taken on November 10th in the Southeast Quarry location. It was discovered by Wisconsin State Patrol. The location, including what appeared to be a charred foot, insulation, human vertebrae in the water, a rag with a reddish-brown stain on it, and fresh blood in the gravel. Now, the blood ended up being human. Full profile was developed, and the DNA belonged to a male. Interestingly, though, the DNA did not belong to anybody in the Avery family, and that includes Stephen. Now, item B2 is blood, which was located on the top surface of the console in Avery's Grand Dam. The blood was Avery's, but DNA obtained included two alleles. I don't know, I've probably messed up that pronunciation, from someone else. Those two alleles also did not match anybody in the Avery family, but they do match two of the alleles in item CX. Now, the alleles contaminated, and I know someone's going to bitch about the way I'm pronouncing it, but deal with it, contaminated in Avery's DNA, and which is located in item CX. That's D3S1358 equals 17, and then D21S11 equals 29. Now, one possible scenario is that the person who left the blood, item CX in the quarry, is the same person that removed the blood from Avery's Grand Dam. Because he was bleeding, he inadvertently left his DNA at both locations. Now, if this is true, that person is either the killer, the planter, or both. Yep. Sorry, I lost my whole screen. So throughout my research, as I explained above, I found certain evidence, ledgers, tags, which seem to suggest a connection between the two. Plus, I believe I found a broader connection to other evidence events. The tags ledgers are as follows. So Ledger 5195, which is the November 5th evidence collected from Stephen Avery's trailer. Ledger 5-204, which is the November 10th evidence collected from the Southeast Quarry. Item CX, which produced a full DNA sample. Ledger 5-197, which is miscellaneous unaccounted for evidence, that really doesn't tie to anything in CASO, but for this ledger, law enforcement made a mistake. They left an item later reassigned to Ledger 5-204 in the mix. So due to a typo with one tag within the ledger, and this typo is actually how I noticed the first red flag, which I further explain below. Maybe I'm coming into money because my nose itches. Ledgers 5-200, 5-183, 5-184, and 5-185, which are the November 6th evidence collected from Alan and Dolores Avery, plus the large red metal shed by their home. Ledger 5-184, which is unaccounted for evidence, which I further explain below. Ledger 5-176, which is the November 6th collection of Teresa Halbach's vibrator, lip moisturizer, hairbrush, toothbrush, and chapstick, and ledgers unknown tag 631, 651-659, 7177-7199. Now, even if you're like a little confused, don't stress out because I'm going to explain everything. Well, he also explains everything, or she. Before showing the details of this evidence and the connections I see between the tags/events for the sake of interest, these collections, in my opinion, draw attention to material items of interest. Now, again, this is just his opinion, or her opinion, but honestly, it makes absolute perfect sense. The stuff following this, the screen following this, is the one I did, and you'll understand it when you see it. So, number one, you have a 1995 Grand Cherokee Laredo. I screwed that up, but I'm not doing this over. 3 blood stains on concrete behind the Jeep and 50-gallon drums. So let's break that down. You have a 1995 green Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo was found in a large red metal shed that had 3 auto bays plus housed 50-gallon drums. This 1995 green Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo requires a top post group 34 battery. Now, why is that important? This is the exact battery swapped out of Teresa's RAV4. Now, within this red shed, not only did officers locate the 1995 green Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo and 50-gallon drums, they located 3 blood spots on concrete just behind the Jeep. So in reading reports and listening to dispatch calls, people reported seeing a green Jeep backed up to the turn around by the river and at various places on 147. Blaine also submitted a new affidavit stating that Bobby was seen by Blaine driving a green SUV during a time when Bobby said he was hunting. So in looking at the 1995 green Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo, it's much easier to read than say, compared to the RAV4 shown on TV and the missing persons poster, it's not surprising that people may have really seen this green Jeep, which I totally agree with. Now we're going to go into my slide. You guys know I've never been one to say that this is a conspiracy or that, there's 3 RAV4s or 2 RAV4s or whatever. I've never been one to do that. My theory has now changed. So unless you have a stolen car, which I understand that they could have used not her real car, it's very possible that they didn't use her real car and they just took a picture. Unlikely, but it's possible. This RAV4 is not even close to this RAV4 for many reasons. There's no plastic around here. This has lifted out plastic. These rims are totally different than these rims. The lift in the back is different. It's a different car. So I can't guarantee that this is a picture of Teresa's car. Although it doesn't look like a car that's at a dealership. It doesn't look like a car that is on somebody's lot. This does look like somebody took a picture in somebody's house and here, this is her RAV4, or, this is what's on the missing persons report. This and this is not the same car, not even remotely close. Now, a long time ago, Joe Burns did a conspiracy theory video, and I call it a conspiracy theory video for a reason, because that's what I believed it was, that Teresa's car was photoshopped. And I laughed at him and laughed at him and laughed at him, like, you're crazy. Why would they Photoshop a picture of her? And you know what? The more I learned about this RAV4, the more I think he was right. That green picture that kind of matches the one in the picture, where you see her standing with the bunch of keys. And again, I'm not saying it is or it's not, but just think about this. If that's her car, then that was definitely photoshopped. If that's not her car, whose car is it? Because this car is totally different. Totally different. If this is what's on the missing poster, which I haven't looked at again, but if that's what's on the missing poster, then that's definitely not her car. Even the rims, you see these 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These don't even have 5. 1, 2, 3. These are all different. It's totally different car. So this is major, like seriously major. And I do it again. Let's look at this again. And I personally have, again, never known a news report to use a random car, but in Wisconsin, like who really knows? And again, if this is really Teresa's car, everybody has been played for a total fool. Everybody. And this car is definitely blue. There is no dark green in this car. I don't care what light you put it in. I don't care how you change it. But the biggest thing that popped out to me are the rims and the plastic. She didn't have plastic. There was no plastic. So if this is her car, this is definitely not her car. It's not rocket science. So now back to the real research. I just had to throw that out there. So the officers which recovered this evidence were from Manitowoc City Police Department and were assisted by Tyson from Calumet. The 3 blood swabs from this collection were repackaged by Hawkins from Calumet on 11/8 before giving the swabs to Agent Joy. There was a total of 40 blood swabs per the Castle report were repackaged as part of this activity. Now, the tag number for item CX, blood from the quarry, seems to have actually come from the series of evidence collected from Stephen Avery's trailer on November 5th. Now, as a theory, I believe that the item CX may be the blood from the concrete behind the Jeep. The tag numbers for the 3 blood stains behind the Grand Cherokee in the red shed seem to have actually come from Stephen Avery's trailer on November 5th. These 3 swabs were also repackaged. Avery's collection on November 5th included other blood swabs. 2 of those were also repackaged. The 50-gallon burn barrel collected it as Avery's on November 7th is also actually tagged within sequencing tied to November 5th. So the 50-gallon burn barrel, in my opinion, was switched with barrel 4 when barrel 4 was returned to the property. 2 barrels from Avery's were returned to Casso on November 8th. Now, the insulation, possible human foot, vertebrae, and blood from which item CX was developed seems to really be associated with the above Avery collection on November 5th. In Perspective Quarry collection, that collection also seems to include Astroglide lubrication, a blue jean pant leg, and unknown melted item with a clothing fiber. One odd empty .223 bullet case seems to have showed up in tags that are sequentially aligned with broken glasses found on November 5th. I think this empty bullet case, because it just appears out of nowhere in Casso, is suspicious. In fact, in terms of entry wounds in a skull, it would leave the same entry wound as a .22. So if a .223 bullet would also leave traces of lead, as reported in the case, my pick for the real gun is a .223. I know nothing about guns, so I'm just reading that. Related to the .223, interestingly, a gun matching this empty .223 bullet case was retrieved from Barb's house on November 7th with 3 rounds still in the gun. It was a Sturm Ruger. Sorry, gun enthusiasts, I totally screwed that up. .223 caliber firearm with a serial number of 196-54277. The firearm had a Bushnell scope and had an ammunition clip that was loaded with 3 rounds. Also, with the firearm was a partial box of .223 caliber rounds. This item was located in the master bathroom closet in its black plastic case. The firearm was collected by Colburn at 10:12 hours. Wow. Before going into the findings, I think that was pretty good findings. Here's a basis from which I am drawing conclusions about the broader connections with the above evidence. So in working from the Castle report and evidence ledger, and helpful reports which have surfaced from others over the 3 years of research in this case, I retain a master spreadsheet of evidence tags and ledgers to which those tags were last logged. At least it appears that the tags are assigned to the last ledger logged. 2 themes seem to be common in the sequencing. One is the tag IDs, for the most part, seem to be in sequential order based on the date, officer, evidence tech, and location, and ledgers seem to be in order numerically based on the last date Castle stored the evidence. Now again, this is what they're supposed to be. So as an example of these observations, using random numbers, November 5th, ledger 5184, when he say random numbers, he or she means that it's not in order, including tags 7,000 through 7,019 for officer ABC and 8,000 through 819 for officer DEF. There is some number which triggers a ledger change. Not sure what it is, but it appears each day can consist of more than one ledger. So if some of the evidence went elsewhere, it seems to still have the same tag, but is then assigned to a later ledger ID when it's checked back in. The ledger IDs seem to increase based on the date. If that is correct, as an example, ledger ID 5184 was used to log in evidence collected before 5204, except that if evidence was first sent somewhere else, say the lab for processing, it was still tagged with XXX, but is now assigned to a later ledger used at the time it was returned. Essentially, it appears the earlier ID is replaced by the later ID. So now there's one exception to this. Items which went to Crime Lab directly, such as Teresa's RAV4, and its contents seem to all be assigned to ledgers containing only 3 numbers of the ledger ID. Now, the Casso Manitowoc ledgers seem to all contain 4. So for the most part, with the exception of Teresa Halbach's items brought to Avery's, I'm ignoring her items, plus any ledgers which start with 3 numbers. So some method had to be used in the handling of tagging the evidence. If specific evidence perimeters were not in place, officers would have submitted evidence with duplicate tags. Same for ledger's ID, because everything follows a method. So within the patterns, the above stated are the only patterns that I can find. Ledgers do not appear to be specific to site locations, such as like Avery's trailer and then the garage. So basically saying that it's not compartmentalized. I don't know why I can't talk today, but you guys know what I meant. We see evidence from multiple locations. It's just a lot of reading. We see evidence from multiple locations within the same ledger's ID or items from the same collection in different ledgers. In contrast, tags seem to be connected to officers, dates, and the evidence custodian. So for those of you that really are not understanding what I'm saying, and if you do understand it, awesome, but I know it's just a lot that I'm rambling. So basically, in a nutshell, is instead of instead of grouping the all the items in Avery's trailer here and all the items in Dassey's trailer here, instead of doing it like that, they have them scattered. So there's stuff in Avery's trailer that's in Dassey's pile and vice versa. So this person couldn't understand why they did it like that, which I say the same thing. It makes no sense. So he goes on to say that if there's no methodology, officers just assign any random tag or ledger, especially in the event of a retrial as you review my findings. Imagine the problems the red flags will create, especially given that repackaging of evidence was occurring throughout the investigation, which is completely illegal. So here's where I started, item CX. Now, item CX is the ledger 5204 found on November 10th. Officers found evidence in the east-south quarry from Avery Road. The evidence included blood on gravel, its control sample, a possible rust blood stain rag, human vertebrae in the water, not accounted for in evidence collection, and a charred foot, which later turned out to be charred insulation. So you can see they wrote it down, 8008, November 10th, 8009, November 10th, and now you have 8475 and 8476. So the discrepancies are tags 808 and 809 don't sequentially belong to 8475 and 8476. So this may have been found at Avery's house, and this may have found somewhere else, because if they were all found on November 10th at the South Quarry, they would totally have sequential order. Control swab for number 3, which I'm assuming is 8475, doesn't match its officer description unless it's referring to the blood as being the third item collected. The vertebrae described is not documented as collected during this event. Tag 8476 in this collection is also tagged as 8479, which entered the ledger at 5-197. Here it's 5.204. So this is actually tagged at 2 different places. So ledger 5197, this collection is random. It doesn't really seem to tie into anything with the exception of tag number 8479, which is also tagged above as 8476, which was on the last one I just did, under ledger 5204. The item CX find, except when looking at it more closely, it seems to also describe charred items, such as the unknown melted item with the clothing fiber, a magazine, which Casso uses as a term to describe ammunition magazines. Now, it also, interestingly, includes tags 8674 and 8693. But in the middle of those 2 tags, sequentially, are the quarry debris piles, with the pelvic bone being 8675. That makes no sense. Notice these are all unknown, except it's squashed in between in sequential order with a star, though, is the 8479. So the discrepancies are, it doesn't really seem to tie into anything with the exception of 8479, which is also tagged above as 8476 under ledger 5204, the item CX find. Now, when looking at the items in the ledger more closely, it seems to also describe charred items, such as the unknown melted item with the clothing fiber magazine. It also interestingly tags, and I'm totally repeating this because I screwed this up, but it can't hurt to do it again because I'm not redoing this video. 8674, which is a zippered pouch, is not in the master evidence list. This very tag is 8675, which is the pelvic bone. 8693 is dog feces, which is not in the master evidence list. The very next tag is 8694, which is a CD found northwest of the red trailer by the tree line. Therefore, 8695, the following tag, is a debris pile in the quarry. But then it starts to get weird, but possibly more clear. So ledgers 5-200, 5-183, 5-184, and 5-185 are a collection which occurred on November 6th. During this collection, officers searched outbuildings and Alan and Dolores' home. In addition, Colburn showed up and gave the evidence custodian 2 items he found from Maribel Caves. The collection included Colburn's 2 items from Alan and Dolores' home, plus 5 bloodstains collected behind a green 1995 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo, which was parked in a bay of the red metal shed, an outbuilding. This red shed per caso has 3 auto bays, plus is used for storage of 50-gallon drum tanks. Now you're going to find, as explained later below, that not only does the blood collection behind the green Jeep get tagged sequentially with the evidence collected on November 5th, but Avery's 50-gallon barrel seems to be in that same collection from November 5th, not November 7th. So the blue jeans pants, look at the dates. These are all November 6th. Possible blood stain, possible blood stain. Knife with red-brown stains on November 6th from Alan and Dolores' house. Bed, pillow, they took all Alan and Dolores' bed sheets, yada yada. Sent with Joy. Everything was sent with Joy on 11/8. Whoop. I'll go this way. So the discrepancies in this are tags 8473 and 8474 seem to sequentially tie to an earlier mentioned ledger 5197. The blood swabs were later repackaged by Casso before turning over to Agent Joy on November 8th. Evidence tags 7120, 21, and 22 seem to match the series of tags used on November 5th. More to follow on that, but interestingly, blood swabs from that seemingly related collection were also repackaged and given to Agent Joy on November 8th. So if we were to line up the 84XX tags from Colburn to the others, above which are sequentially in order, ledger 5197, it would look like this. 5200, blue jeans pant leg. 5200 again, Astroglide personal lubricant. 5204, charred piece. 5204, rag plus blood, November 6th, November 10th. Then you have the magazine, blah, blah. Then you have the unknown. Then it comes back, and then you have the zippered pouch and dog feces. So this is where the discrepancies continue. So notice the tag numbers that are all in sequential order from 8473 to 8479, right here. I kept 8674 and 8675 in the mix because they are assigned to the same ledger, which is 5197, this one. How would items collected on November 6th be in the same sequential series of tags from November 10th? In context, it rather appears that these items were found on the same date. Assuming that's true, it would seem that items 8475 through 8479 may have really been recovered on November 6th, not November 10th. But there's more. So about that blood found in the green Jeep, tags 7120 and 7121 and 7123, which were all swabbed November 6th, but repackaged and given to Agent Joy on November 8th. Well, those tags have a problem too. The Jeep, by the way, the proper battery for it is the Group 34 top post battery. That's the same battery type which is missing from Teresa's Rev. And remember the blood taken from the item CX tags 8008 and 8009? Well, those tags fit elsewhere, except 7120, 7121, and 7123 actually fit. So Ledger 5195. This ledger consists of evidence collected from Avery's trailer on November 5th. The date of this evidence has been in question as some items appear to have been described in collections which occurred during a couple of later searches. However, Ledger 5195 appears to log 3 sequences of tags, 7103 through 7119, which are these: lint, toilet paper, swab stain, control swab, 2 rolls of duct tape, swab of stain, bathroom floor, control swab, bathroom floor, control swab near stain, swabs of stain in exit entrance bathroom. Then you have 802 to 813, bag containing sheets, broken cell phone, leg irons, roll of duct tape, 2 keys on a 2003 keyring, CD case, vacuum bag, pillow, mauves, whatever. Because they're all logged together by the evidence custodian, it appears that all of these items were tagged on November 5th. So everything was tagged and found on November 5th. But wait a second. I noticed that for Ledger 5195, we're missing several tags within the sequence for this ledger. So between 804 and 810, as an example, where's 805 through 809? Well, based on the above ledger for item CX, I know where two of them are. 808 is saying it's a possible blood stain taken from the 10th on the quarry, and 809 is control swab for number 3, also on the 10th. Now, there's other tags which sequentially seem to be from both the series of tags used on November 5th. So here's a broader view by tag number. Notice that the first tag, 7100, is confirmed to have been found on November 5th. Notice the last tag, 8116, is confirmed to have been found on November 5th. So you guys can look. It's showing, not showing, but between, and it just shows everything. Everything was found on November 5th. So before any of my research, I noticed a few other things. Ledgers 5-184 and 5-176, and unknown. So tag 7099, which is this one, an unknown, unaccounted for item related to ammunition, lands just before Avery's November 5th collection. His starts at 7102, his 50-gallon burn barrel. Tags 7100 and 7101 are broken glasses, plus a plastic piece also found on November 5th. That's this one. Then you have tags 7098 and 7096, which are Teresa's house, but were brought to Avery's for tagging. They seem to align with evidence tagged on the 5th, not 6th. Aside from that, these items were also repackaged by Casso for Agent Joy on November 8th. Tags 639 and 659 and 7199 were also repackaged by Casso before being sent with the Agent Joy on November 8th, which is this one. The numbers are interestingly close to the burn barrel tags, plus tags assigned to earlier collections. Notice the description for tag 639, which is all these, description of blood spots on exit door of Avery's November 5th. So I know that that is huge amount of information, and I try to bring it to you guys as best as I can. You know, whoever wrote that needs to seriously work for Zellner. Like, no doubt, I have learned more in that than I have in 11 motions that I've read. That was unbelievable research and unbelievable work. If it's all true, like literally if it's all true, then I stick with the title of this video. There is absolutely 100% unequivocally no doubt that they are innocent. So that's what I have for you guys tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope I didn't bore you. And it's unbelievable work. So I know you guys are not used to me putting out a video so early, but I'm going to close out with my closing outro. And I hope you guys have a great night. I will see you tomorrow. It's possible I'm going to do a live because I know you guys probably have a zillion questions. So I may do a live tonight depending on what time I get done with everything. So don't forget to hit subscribe. Don't forget to check out my other videos. Support me on Patreon. Support me by subscribing. And I will see you guys either later tonight or tomorrow. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Peace out.
Ryan?